out of the way, Wendy, let's go on with the first official story today.
The Academy of Motion Pictures, Arts and Sciences has announced the 20 films that are in the running for the Best Visual Effects Oscar at the upcoming 88th Academy Awards. The Academy's Visual Effects Branch Executive Committee determined the preliminary shortlist, which has a maximum of 20 films, which must then later be narrowed down to 10 before the final list of nominees are announced. The list of 20 films that made the first cut are Ant-Man, Avengers Age of Ultron, Bridge of Spies, Chappie, Everest, Ex Machina, Furious 7, The Hunger Games Mockingjay Part 2, In the Heart of the Sea, Jupiter Ascending, Jurassic World, Mad Max Fury Road, The Martian, Mission Impossible Rogue Nation, The Revenant, Spectre, Star Wars The Force Awakens, Terminator Genesis, Tomorrowland, and The Walk. Schnepp, of these films, which one do you think have a legitimate shot ultimately making the final nominee list?
Let's see, it's quite an impressive list of movies that came out this year. I was like, wow, all these movies came out this year. It's pretty fantastic. I would say definitely Avengers Age of Ultron, Jupiter Ascending, Mad Max, The Martian, Star Wars The Force Awakens. That's 5 right there. Then it starts to get a little weird. I'd say Ex Machina. I would probably say Jurassic World. I would add Terminator Genesis, Tomorrowland, and probably, for my last pick, Rogue Nation.
All right, I'm going to go, the ones that I think that are going to, and you're a great list of stuff here. I'm going to go with Avengers Age of Ultron, Chappie, because remember, this is about the best visual effects. This is not about the best movie. And the visual effects in Chappie were jaw-droppingly photorealistic. They were incredible. So I'm going to Avengers, Chappie, Ex Machina. Not a ton of visual effects in the movie, but really well seamless, totally seamless. I'm also going to go with Jurassic World, despite the bombastic nature of it. I never found myself watching Jurassic World and ever thinking, out of all those visual effect shots I saw, that doesn't look real. I never caught myself saying that once. I was really impressed with it. And, okay, there's a little bit of bias here, but I just got to believe, because it's ILM, Star Wars The Force Awakens will be in that. So the 5 that I think are ultimately going to be nominated are Avengers Age of Ultron, Chappie, Ex Machina, Jurassic World, and Star Wars Force Awakens. Kristian, what do you think are going to be the 5 nominees?
I think The Force Awakens for sure. I think The Martian will absolutely be nominated. Jurassic World, I agree with you, will be in there. I think Mad Max will be nominated. So is that 4? And then the last one, I would say, I mean, I'd like to see Everest, because the special effects
were very
so good, but I don't think so. So I'd probably say for the last one, I'm gonna say The Walk. I think that the second
they did
half
a great
of the walk,
job.
Really?
The second half of The Walk, to me.
The walk was bad special effects.
The second half of it?
Yeah.
I thought it looked beautiful.
Everything looked fake to me.
Yeah, I thought the beginning of it was too, but I thought the second was pretty great. So there you go. That's a 5.
A list of 10, though. That's what it says, not 5.
Oh, is it 10?
No, the next round will be 10. They're going to take it down from 20, and then it'll be down to the final nominees, which will be 5. So there's going to be like a cutting process.
That's pretty rough. That's a good list.
All right, what's next?
As most of you know, the newest Star Trek film, Star Trek Beyond, is It's set to hit theaters on July 22nd, and now we know when we'll get our first look at the new film. According to The Hollywood Reporter, the first trailer for Star Trek will debut in front of Star Wars The Force Awakens on December 18th. Along with Trek, the report also suggests the other trailers included with The Force Awakens will be Batman v Superman, Dawn of Justice, The Huntsman, Winter's War, Independence Day Resurgence, and X-Men Apocalypse, with possible Captain America Civil War and the Jungle Book additions. Kristian, is it a good idea to put a Star Trek trailer in front of a Star Wars movie?
It's a brilliant idea to put Star Trek trailer in front of Star Wars. It's not the Yankees and the Red Sox. It's Star Wars and Star Trek. And J.J. Abrams was the director of the first 2 Star Trek films and still is very attached to this project. And it should be. And it's a movie. I enjoyed both of them. I know some people didn't like the second Star Trek. What was it called?
Into Darkness.
In a Heart of Darkness, whatever.
In the Heart of Darkness.
It is. Yeah, I think the trailer itself, I'm looking forward to seeing what it's going to be. And what a way to do it. You're getting ready to go into this science fiction fantasy, so why not let's see a science fiction movie right before it. I think it's a really smart move. Plus the other ones that are Batman vs Superman and Apocalypse. that's like little appetizers right before the main feast. So I think it's a really smart list. And I'm actually, even though I don't know how excited I'm going to be when Independence Day sequel comes out, I am curious to see the trailer.
Oh, yes.
And see exactly what it's going to look like, because that trailer of the original, we forget, that was a movie that everyone, when saw that trailer, was like, whoa, what's this movie? And it was a cinematic experience. So I think it's a really good list.
I think it's a fantastic move to put a Star Trek.
Yeah.
Why? Because there's this make-believe thing of Trekkies or Trekkers, whichever one you fall into, versus Star Wars fans. It's that's made up. It's not a real thing. That's made up by some people who like to think that way. The vast majority of movie fans just like their movies, and they like Star Trek movies and they like Star Wars movies. It's a sci-fi spectacle, so of course you put a sci-fi spectacle trailer in front of a sci-fi spectacle film. Makes total sense. But I'm telling you right now, Star Wars The Force Awakens has the potential to be the best movie-going experience of the year before the damn movie even starts. I mean, we're talking about seeing trailers for Star Trek, Captain America Civil War, X-Men Apocalypse, Batman v Superman, Dawn of Justice, maybe The Jungle Book, which is, to me, the biggest surprise so far out of any upcoming movie I've seen so far about how good The Jungle Book looks. Right.
I
can't wait to see that on a giant movie screen. That's going to be incredible. So yeah, for me, this is a terrific move on their part.
Yeah, I think it's really smart. I agree. It's time to any of the Star Trek people who are continuing the Star Trek Star Wars war. They're totally two different worlds. One's fantasy, one's more so science fiction, but they're all science fiction fantasy when it really comes down to it. And now you have Star Trek people who hate Star Trek. They're like the Star Trekkies from the old generation hate the new generation. So
which I do not understand.
It's just a lot of hate, guys. Can't we all just get along? I think it's an amazing group of trailers that we're going to see. This is actually the best opportunity for Warner Brothers to recut their Batman v Superman trailer a third time and get rid of that stupid ending, because it's called Batman v Superman. I know a lot of people have already seen the giant spoiler ending, but maybe recut it. This is a chance. Everything's digital now. You could do it right now. Right now you can be recutting it. I can't wait to see X-Men Apocalypse. ID, what is it called? Is it still ID Forever? What
no,
is it
they
called?
changed that. Now it's I can't remember what it's
Independence
called.
Returns.
Resurgence. I think that's it. Yeah.
Really, it's called Resurgence. All right,
Yeah.
whatever. That's the one I wish wasn't playing. It's gonna ruin it for me. But
You're so negative about this movie. I think this movie's gonna be great.
Yeah, it's got a lot to prove to
Let
me.
me change. I don't know if the movie's gonna be great like Revenant. I think it's gonna be great fun.
Campea just said it was gonna be great.
Better
Whatever.
than the Revenant.
Better than Revenant.
I think it's
going
going to be great fun. All right, folks, we've now reached that part of the show for buy or sell. Here's how this works. In front of her, Wendy's got a few other items in the world of movie news. She's going to run them down. Then the rest of us at the table are simply going to say whether we buy it or sell it. So, Wendy, what do we got?
A brand new trailer for the upcoming Natalie Portman Western Gingka Gun just hit the web. Gingka Gun centers on Jane Hammond, played by Natalie Portman, who has built a new life with her husband Ham after being tormented by the ultra-violent Bishop Boy outlaw gang. She finds herself in the gang's crosshair once again when Ham stumbles home riddled with bullets after dueling with the boys and their relentless mastermind Colin, played by Ewan McGregor. With the vengeful crew hot on Ham's trail, Jane has nowhere to turn but her former fiancé Dan Frost, played by Joe Edgerton, for help in defending her family against certain destruction. Schnepp, buy or sell this new trailer for Gingka Gun?
Well, I'm going to buy it. It is following in suit with a lot of other trailers where I just feel they're showing the whole movie where I don't know what's wrong with. I mean, I don't know if it's a societal thing where we're at right now, where they feel people are just so stupid that you have to actually show them the entire movie from beginning to the middle to the end. Remember, it's a movie. It's not a TV series. We're not going to get another ending. We're not going to get. It's a 90 minutes, a 2-hour movie. So my biggest problem with almost every trailer that's been coming out this year is that they show everything. And this is another one of those trailers that, to me at least, I was excited to see the film when I saw the trailer, the last trailer. I know they want to refresh people's memory. Just cut it differently. I don't understand why they have to show everything where you set everything up in the trailer, you show the middle part of the movie, and then you show the payoff, the ending. I mean, there's no real other way it can go. There's not going to be a secret ending that they're going to show to Jane Got a Gun. Sorry. So, I mean, to me, it's not buy or sell, but I don't like this trend that's going on where the studios feel like they have to cram it down their throats. I don't know if it's bean counters who are like, logistically, people really want to know what they're going to see. They want to know what they're paying for. I don't know why this trend has happened, and it happens more so now than ever before. Any of the trailers, you can go back in time and look at trailers from the 80s, 90s to early 2000s. It wasn't like they showed you the beginning, middle, and end of every single scene. They started it. I remember the first time I saw it was Men in Black, where they showed you that very last shot of the saucer coming in. That was the first time I ever saw that in any trailer where they showed you the end of the movie, and I remember being pissed about it. And then ever since then, that was 1997, it's just gotten more and more and more. So now, here we are in 2015, every single trailer that I see, they show you the entire movie, and I'm sick of it.
I have had a completely different experience with this trailer than you did. I didn't get that impression at all. I just felt like they just set up the story for me, and I didn't. It's funny because I never even considered that this thing showed you the whole movie. There was, and I think people overreact way too much about that whole trend. Although there was one trailer that came out recently where all of us kind of sat here and said, that just showed us everything. And I can't remember what
Batman
the movie
v
was.
Superman?
Yeah.
Well, the Batman v Superman showing, that was kind of crazy. But I never got that impression from Gingka Gun. I buy this trailer. I liked it. For me, now, I'm not jumping up and down in my chair about it, though. Like, I'm not super excited like I was with the 999 trailer or anything like that. But I saw it looks like a good, solid Western. They introduced us to who the key characters are and the key players are and set up what the story is. This woman who's got a past, had an ex, got married, moved on, and now that family's in trouble and she's going to defend the family. That's the setup for the story. And for me, it worked. Although I was hoping to be a little bit more jazzed about it, because when I read about this starting 3 years ago, I thought it sounded amazing. The trailers have not taken it to that level for me yet, but I still enjoyed it, so I'm going to comfortably give it a buy.
I'm going to give it a big buy. I do understand what you're saying, Schnepp. There were a couple of moments in the trailer that I was like, oh, why'd they show that? You don't need to show that. I didn't feel like it gave away the whole movie, but I thought there were certain moments that maybe there was one particular moment that, unless you've seen it, I don't want to ruin it for you, but there's a moment that happens in the trailer that I go, well, wait a minute. If that goes down the way I think it is, then it did spoil something. But when you think about what happened with Gingka Gun, if you're not familiar with it, Lynn Ramsey, yeah, well, because but it has seemed to all work out because Lynn Ramsey was supposed to direct this thing, and her and Michael Fassbender was in the Edgerton role, and then
Edgerton was the husband.
No, Edgerton was the villain. Edgerton was the
Edgerton
villain.
was the villain. You're right.
You're right. And then when Ramsey and Fassbender weren't getting along, so Fassbender took off, and then they brought in Jude Law to play the villain. And then Ramsey left, and Jude Law quit. So then they got Ewan McGregor, and because Gavin O'Connor already worked with Joel Edgerton,
and Bradley Cooper was in there somewhere too.
Maybe,
Bradley
but now
Cooper
it seems to
mix.
all be working out now, and I like Gavin O'Connor a lot. He's very picky with what he picks, and I really like the tone that he set in this trailer. It looks like it's not going to hold back. Sometimes Westerns are hard to get people into the theater. Some people are bored by Westerns, but I happen to really enjoy the genre, and I think that Natalie Portman looks very believable in the role, so it's a buy for me.
Well, let me say this. I can't wait to see the movie itself. My selling is the trailer and the way it's cut. It looks like it's going to be a really exciting film. I love Westerns, and that we're getting the Hateful Eight, you got the Revenant, and you have Gingka Gun.
Yeah.
Those three amazing, totally different styled stories, and all taking place in the West. So I'm excited about it.
What I'm excited about was a comment that said, Jane is Snoke.
Jane is. All right, what's next?
Ever since Daredevil first aired on Netflix, many fans have wondered if we'll see him, along with the other Marvel heroes on Netflix, in the Marvel Cinematic Universe when the Infinity War films come to screen. Some say yes, others say no. Now, one of the Infinity War directors, Anthony Russo, makes it sound like we shouldn't hold our breath. He said the following: "It's complicated. When we start to serialize the telling of stories, it's difficult. You have to have a lot of control and focus on the course of history. The films are controlled by a group led by Kevin Feige, so they function as a unit. Other products, even if they're from Marvel, are controlled by others. Then there's the possibility of a crossover, but it's more complicated. It is a smaller scale version of the problem that exists when remembering that Fox holds the rights to some of Marvel's most popular characters, as does Sony and others." John, buy or sell Russo's comments?
Well, first of all, I buy the comments in the chat board of people saying Jane shot first. I like that. That's great. This goes completely. I buy his comments. I buy his comments completely because I've been saying forever, like, when Daredevil first came out, everybody, all the fans on, not everybody, but a lot of people online were jumping down, Daredevil's going to be in Avengers now. And I'm like, no, I don't think he will. You're not going to see Daredevil in the Avengers. I don't think it's going to happen because they do have such, and whenever I would bring this up, there are separate governing bodies looking over the movie universe and the television universe. And that rift got even bigger after Kevin Feige got himself away from Perlmutter. Perlmutter now runs television. Kevin Feige does movies under the direct supervision of Disney. And they're just run by totally different people. And I've been saying for a long time, when you get into the Netflix shows, like whether it's Jessica Jones or Daredevil, they are so vague on their references. Like, there's a reason that you never hear Jessica Jones say Hulk. If this was Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., they would have said Hulk. In Jessica Jones, they don't say Hulk. They say the big green guy. In Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., they would have said Captain America. In Jessica Jones, they don't say. They say the guy who waves the flag. In the Marvel Cinematic Universe, or even in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., they would have said when the Chitauri invaded New York and destroyed New York and the Avengers stopped them. All they say on the Netflix shows is the incident. Like, so even verbally, they create this separation. Yes, they acknowledge that they're in the same universe, but there's a separation. Russo coming out and saying this just kind of verifies all of that. But there is another point that we don't have in the long quote here. Russo also brought up the point about Spider-Man. And the fact that he even compares this situation between the movie and the television universe to the separation between Fox's Marvel characters and Marvel, that's a pretty stark distinction. But he went on to say that, hey, but you never know. Because, Spider-Man was a Sony, and we were able to work out a deal with Sony, so nothing's impossible. And I think that's the situation we're in right now when it comes to characters like Luke Cage, Iron Fist, Daredevil, Jessica Jones, the Defenders as a whole, with the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Very unlikely, but don't count it as impossible. It's not impossible. I still don't think it's going to happen. I think they're having great success with Daredevil, Jessica Jones, that whole Netflix world. I think they're going to leave them be and let them do their thing and be their own thing. And I don't think you're going to see them in the movies, and I think these comments kind of go towards it. Anyway, Schnepp, you read these comments. What do you think about this whole situation?
Well, I think the Russos are very smart in their approach to everything, and I think Marvel in general is very smart about it. I think it would ruin it if you brought in these characters who are basically operating in a small area of New York, Hell's Kitchen, and some other parts of it, Harlem. It's the scale. Like, Avengers are dealing with creatures from another dimension, from outer space. Like it is open up this cosmic galaxy, the Guardians of the Galaxy, aliens, and all this other stuff. And I think the Netflix series is really dealing with criminals, like the Kingpin, a human being, the difference is so giant. Like, it would be weird. Even that picture of Daredevil hanging out with Thanos just looks stupid to me. It looks incredibly dumb. Now you could argue, well, Hawkeye's just a human being. So is Black Widow. We don't know how they're going to integrate with Thanos and all this other stuff. And they're part of the Avengers. They're part of S.H.I.E.L.D. And those kinds of things worked in Avengers. I just say keep them separated. I like the way that, if they have to have any crossover, you can always bring someone like Hawkeye or Black Widow into Daredevil. And that would make sense, like human interaction. I just don't see everyone doesn't have to all be in the same fight, like everyone charge and have 100 people running towards something. I don't know. I like the separation. It's cool that they reference it once in a while. That it's all part of the same universe. I think keeping them separated makes all of those different separate universes stronger. So.
Yeah, I buy the comments also, and I think that what it is that it was a nice way to say politics, man. There's politics, and that's what it was. There's politics behind it, and it doesn't mean though that you won't ever see it. But I agree with you, Schnepp, is where when you watch Daredevil or Jessica Jones, it's based in this realism, almost what they did in the Nolan universe, and that's what they've done in the Marvel universe on Netflix.
Yeah.
And I think that when you start to move it over into the Marvel Cinematic Universe, because you have a rated R universe jumping into a PG-13 universe. And that's not to say that can't happen, that characters can happen, or that maybe we'll see Punisher or Daredevil in their own movie eventually, depending on how popular. Will that happen? Probably not, but it's more of a possibility, I think, of them getting kind of a standalone movie and then doing the same thing you were talking about before, referencing the universe, because you might see it happen depending on the success of Deadpool. Once Deadpool hits, and once you see what a rated R movie, superhero movie can do, then there's more of a possibility for these Netflix shows to maybe get their own movies, because Daredevil's a very popular character right now. And the Punisher hasn't had a good movie yet out there. Okay ones, but nothing great. So I'd like to see them go to the big screen, but I don't know if they're going to transfer into that universe.
I think Punisher is going to be in Daredevil season 2. I think a lot of these characters lend themselves to longer form stories. Yeah. The Punisher is a great example of someone who's going to I personally think, will lend itself great to a longer, like 10, 13 episode story arc with Daredevil. So I don't want to see them on the big screen. I'm perfectly happy to see these like super long story arcs on Netflix.
Because it's like one big movie anyway.
Yeah. So.
All right. Well, folks, it is Tuesday, which means it's time for us to talk about what is opening this week, brought to you by our friends at AMC Theatres. 2 important films opening this week. We're going to talk about one of them today, and that one is the new Ron Howard film, In the Heart of the Sea. Wendy, tell us about it.
In 1820, crewmen aboard the New England vessel Essex face a harrowing battle for survival when a whale of mammoth size and strength attack with force, crippling their ship and leaving them adrift in the ocean. Pushed to their limits and facing storm, starvation, panic, and despair, the survivors must resort to the unthinkable to stay alive. Their incredible tale ultimately inspired Moby Dick. Kristian, should the audiences be looking forward to In the Heart of the Sea?
I certainly was. It's a fascinating story that I was interested to see how the inspiration how Moby Dick came to be a book, and everyone should know that some people, even the screening that I saw last night, people thought, oh, this is actually Moby Dick, the story. It's not. It's the inspiration of how Moby Dick, how the writer got the inspiration to write Moby Dick, and based off the tale. And the movie's fairly dull. It's a movie that when it starts off, I was interesting. There's no character development with the crew members. There's a little bit between the captain and the first mate, which is played by Chris Hemsworth. And I found myself rooting for Chris Hemsworth because it's Chris Hemsworth and the guy's a movie star. I didn't hate the movie. I just thought it was okay. There are parts, and Brendan Gleeson, who is kind of telling the story,
freaking awesome.
Best part of the whole movie.
Yes.
He is retelling the story of what happened with the Essex, which is the ship, and that stuff I was just so into and so involved in. And then once we got through the half, and I felt like even the actual whale, and I was rooting for the whale. Rooting for the whale the whole time because they're hunting this thing down and just, I'm going on a swim, leave me alone. And so for me, the movie itself was okay, and I wanted it to be great.
Yeah, I enjoyed the movie. I did, and I think people should go out and see it. But this was, I think, easily in my top 10 most anticipated films of the year. I was so looking forward to this, especially when they bumped it back into Oscar season. I'm like, oh, then it's really going to be great. And I felt underwhelmed. I think that's the best word for it. I felt underwhelmed. I thought absolutely the best part of this movie is, when you really consider it, this movie is split in half. You have the Brendan Gleeson, and I can't remember the other actor.
It's Q.
It's Q, Ben Whishaw,
yeah,
who's probably going to play Freddie Mercury if all things go well. So it's those two sitting in a room where Brendan Gleeson is retelling the story of the Essex to this writer played by Whishaw. And those scenes are captivating. Yeah. It's just two guys sitting over a table in candlelight, and those scenes were captivating. And then you had the scenes where it's actually what happened on the Essex and showing everything that went on. And I got to say this too. I thought the visual effects were kind of poor.
Some were great,
some were great, some were bad. Some would be like, oh, I look at that and it feels like I'm clearly green screen. And it just kind of drifted, no pun intended. The movie just kind of drifted to its end. And so while I left the theater going, I like this movie, I also left the theater going, but not as good as I was hoping it was going to be. I still would recommend that you go check it out. Schnepp, have you had a lot of interest in seeing In the Heart of the Sea?
I have been waiting to see this movie since I saw the first trailers. I'm disappointed to hear what you said, but it's okay. Like, I saw The Revenant, and you saw The Revenant. I didn't like The Revenant. You liked The Revenant.
I loved it, yeah.
Loved it. So, I mean, I'm still going to see the movie. I'm going to lower my expectations a little bit.
Right.
I think most movies, after you see an amazing trailer, I've experienced this several times this year, lower your expectations. Just think about the movie like it's going to really suck before you see it, and then you'll be pleasantly surprised by some of those things instead of like, man, this movie's going to be amazing, and then not so much. So I'm going to see In the Heart of the Sea. Hopefully it's opening this weekend.
This weekend.
Yeah, so I'm going to see it this weekend. I'm looking forward to it.
All right, folks, we reached that part of the show now for Mailbag. Listen, if you've got a topic or a question you'd like us to address on the show, just email us anytime at collidervideo@gmail.com. Now, I'm going to let you know this, too. We're doing this show live. We do every day, Monday through Friday at 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. And for those of you who are watching us live, we're going to save a little bit of time at the end of the show for you to send in some Twitter questions. How do you send in Twitter questions? It's simple. Make sure you're following us on Twitter at Collider Video and just tweet in some questions to us, and Wendy will decide which one of your tweets to ask on the air. But for now, let's get to the mailbag questions. So, Wendy, what do we got?
Adrian Shawcroft writes, my question is, what do you all think the end/mid credit will be for Cap 3? Me, I hope Doctor Strange and Spidey or Black Panther, and hope no more Thanos. Snore. Thanks, stay safe, and keep up the geeky.
Well, it would make sense. First of all, let me go to the one thing about Thanos. I ain't bored by Thanos. I ain't bored by Thanos at all. As long as you do something interesting with him in the post-credit scene. Like, I can't even remember what was Age of Ultron. The post-credit scene for Age of Ultron, Thanos opening up the cabinet. I guess I have to do it myself. Really? That's the post-credit? I mean, that was
the snore.
Yeah, that was the snore. But give us, 15 seconds of Thanos doing something interesting that actually pushes something along that makes sense. Then I could be totally down for that. However, what makes most sense, although Marvel has not always followed what makes most sense, would be for them to do something with Doctor Strange. That is the next Marvel film that's coming. Doctor Strange, very popular amongst comic book fans, not super well known. It's kind of like Ant-Man, not super well known amongst all the other movie fans out there. This would be a really good opportunity for them to do something. Now, I thought they should have done the same thing with Age of Ultron, because the next movie up after Age of Ultron was Ant-Man.
Right.
And I really thought they needed, and I think the box office, Ant-Man was a big hit, could have been bigger, and I think what could have helped that is if they did a post-credit scene, and instead of doing, I guess I have to do it myself, which was a waste, had a little something for Ant-Man. It would have helped Ant-Man. It would have made more sense. It would have had a smoother flow of continuity because that was the next movie. So me personally, there's a lot of things they can do that would work. I personally hope it's Doctor Strange. What do you think, Schnepp?
I would love it to be Doctor Strange. I would love it to be Spider-Man or Black Panther. Sometimes they do two of them. They do a mid-credits and then a very end one. So if they were going to do two, I'd love to see it split between Spider-Man and Doctor Strange. That would be my vote.
Yeah, because they did two for Ant-Man, which I thought they were great. Both Ant-Mans were really good because one furthered the story and one led into the new movie that we're going to see. So I actually like to see one for Ragnarok. I think that because they have the Hulk, the Hulk now we know is joining, and they're not going to be in Civil War. And I don't think Thor's going to be in Civil War either. So to have them at the end,
that's a great one.
Yeah, it could be really cool. And Doctor Strange as well. But there might be something afterwards, like I said, to further the story. So let's say if you're going to further the story, there's probably going to be something with Spider-Man. So maybe one with Spider-Man and then one with Ragnarok.
It would be cool just to see, Mark Ruffalo sitting in the living room, the phone rings, he picks it up. Banner, yes, 'tis I, Thor. Doing a juice run to a faraway galaxy.
Would you like to come with me?
Want to come for a ride? Sure, I got nothing going on, and then they go. Yeah. Then he gets what's that thing? The Bifrost? Is that?
That's right. Only they're singing a song like Crosby and Hope. They're like, let's all hang out in Asgard. Doing something. I can't wait for that. The road movie.
It's a buddy road movie. That's what Thor Ragnarok is going to be. It's going to be a buddy.
That's what. But I'm not joking. Movie. They've been saying that's going to be a buddy film.
I hope so. That would be. I would
love it.
That would be fun because. Yeah, we've already said it 1,000 times. All right, what's the next question in the mailbag?
Samir Malik writes, hey guys, love the show, watch it every day. My question, was Slumdog Millionaire your pick to win Best Picture at the 81st Academy Awards? If not, which movie would you have picked to win Best Picture instead of Slumdog Millionaire?
Yeah, I think I would have gone Slumdog Millionaire. The one that would have competed the closest with it to me probably would have been Milk. Because Milk was fabulous. The performances, I think to this day, James Franco's best performance as a supporting, he might have got nominated for Best Supporting Actor in that, if I'm not mistaken.
What were the other films that were up?
You had Frost Nixon, which was also really good. Right. You had The Curious Case of Benjamin Button. You had Reader. I think those were the 5 nominees. And Slumdog Millionaire. And Slumdog Millionaire was
really fun, and it was a really great film, so it deserved it.
Now, the one thing that I know a lot of people right now are screaming at their computer monitors right now, this was the year that The Dark Knight was out. saying The Dark Knight should have won. I would still go with Slumdog Millionaire personally, and that is the same year, obviously, that Heath Ledger won Best Supporting Actor, which means that Franco never had a chance, even if he was nominated. Which of those films that did get nominated would you have given the award to?
I'm on the same boat as you, either Milk or Slumdog. I think those were the two out of the list. They're all good movies, but out of the list, and Reader was a really good movie.
Yeah,
it was a really
Kate Winslet, fantastic.
Yes, but I don't know. Slumdog Millionaire is a really great movie. I think it deserved, and I thought what Danny Boyle did with it. I think it should have won.
All right, what's next?
George Safikis writes, "Hey Collider, big fan of all of your work. I have an over-under for you. How many weeks will Star Wars The Force Awakens hold the #1 movie spot? Can it stand up to Titanic's 15 weeks? Keep up the great work."
Okay, so if the over-under, you didn't actually say a number. I'm going to assume you mean
15.
the 15
Yeah.
for Titanic. Over under 15, absolutely, without any hesitation, it will be under. And it will be under by a lot. It's a different world today at the movie theaters than it was when Titanic came out, 15 years ago? However many years ago Titanic came out. There's just too many movies coming out every single week. And, okay, so let's look at it here. We've got, obviously, Star Wars The Force Awakens. It's going to win week 1. It's going up against stiff competition in Sisters and the new Chipmunks movie, but I think Star Wars will eke out a win in week 1. The following week, it's going up against Concussion, Daddy's Home, Joy, the new Jennifer Lawrence movie, and the new Point Break. I do believe Star Wars will maintain the #1 position for a second week in a row. We get into the third week, it goes against The Forest, the new horror movie, and The Masked Saint, so I believe it will be 3 weeks. However, I believe once we get into its 4th week of release, and it opens against 13 Hours, The Fifth Wave, Norm of the North, but the big one is Ride Along 2. Say what you will about Ride Along and all that kind of stuff. The first one had a I think it might have made $50 million opening weekend. I don't think in its 4th week, Star Wars The Force Awakens, because everybody's going to go see it in opening week. Yeah. We're all going to go see it opening week. I believe it will fall in week 4. And if it doesn't fall in week 4 to Ride Along 2, then it will absolutely, you know what? If it doesn't fall in week 4, it has a chance of getting week 6, because I believe it will outlast The Boy and Dirty Grandpa that releases on January 22nd. But then you get into week 6, and then you run into what's going to be a juggernaut in Kung Fu Panda 3. There's going to be a lot of fans. So I believe at most we're talking 6 weeks at #1. I'm thinking 4. Anyway, what about you, Kristian? How many weeks do you see it going?
Under the 15,
right,
for sure. But I think it's got a really good shot to hold out until February 12th. I really do. And what is that week?
Even after Kung Fu Panda 3 comes out, and all the parents taking their kids to that?
I do. I really think I wouldn't be surprised if Kung Fu Panda beats it. I really wouldn't. But I also wouldn't be surprised if it holds out until Deadpool and Zoolander 2 get there. And now this is also under the assumption that it's a great movie. Now, if it's not a good movie and it stinks, then there's no way it'll hit that 4-week mark, and then it's over. But if it's great and it does get that repeat viewing, I think it has the legitimate shot to beat a lot of records and make it up to Deadpool. But won't be shocked if it doesn't. But
how many weeks is that?
I think that
would be 8 or 9.
That's 8.
Yeah. I mean, I would say 7 weeks. That makes sense. I mean, the one that could take it out is Kung Fu Panda. All the other films, even they'll take away money from it, but not enough to make it not #1. I don't see the other films like toppling a weekend where you have every single show from December till the middle of January is kind of going to be sold out like in the next week or 2.
Yeah.
So especially weekends when people go see films. So opening weekends, people are like, hey, we didn't get to see that movie from a month ago. Let's go now. Or there's going to be a lot of repeat viewings. Like you said, if this movie holds up and is better than the prequels, come on. It's got to be better than the prequels. We know that. We just saw the prequels again. It was garbage. So it's like, garbage. So yeah, I'm going to say 7 weeks.
All right, guys. Well, I said we'd save a little bit of time, take some of your live Twitter questions. Once again, you still got some time to get some in. Tweet to us. Make sure you're following us on Twitter at Collider Video, and tweet to us some questions, and we'll see if we can get yours on. So, Wendy, what have you picked out?
Adam Henson asks, Bruce Wayne's story has been told so many times, so would you even be interested in a Batman Beyond movie?
No. No, we've actually over the years we've probably taken a question like this 3 or 4 times. No, and nobody in the general public is interested in a Batman Beyond movie. The few people who did watch the cartoon swear by the cartoon and really love the cartoon, but I believe it only lasted 3 seasons.
Yeah, 3 seasons, and they did the Batman Return of the Joker. That's where they brought
And they
Mark
did that.
Hamill,
And but look, I guarantee you, if we go out to the Burbank 16, the AMC Burbank 16 across the street, we poll 200 people coming out of a movie theater and say, "Hey, are you interested?" I can't remember the kid's name.
Jason McSquigglesome.
Yeah, Jason McSquiggy. Let's, for argument's sake, say that. Say, if we ask 100 people coming out, say, "Who's Batman?" 99 of them are going to say 99 of them are going to say Bruce Wayne, and the other one's going to be drunk. So I mean, that's who people want to see as Batman, as Bruce Wayne. The average movie-going audience is not interested in somebody other than Bruce Wayne being Batman. Do you guys think it's different than that, or how do you see it?
I agree movie-wise, but look at the world we live in right now. CW and all these other TV networks. Look at Marvel's Netflix. There's no reason that Warner Brothers can't do a Batman Beyond television series.
Sure.
Exists in a totally different universe. You can have that kind of flavor. You can have that fun with old Bruce Wayne mentoring in this new kid in the future. I think it would be a great TV series. That's the way I would run it. I would do it as a TV series, try it out, 10 episodes on some CW channel, or maybe, Hulu, spend some money. You know what I mean? That's the way I would rock it. I don't see it competing with Batman in the movies yet. So.
I would much rather see that than Gotham. I think that would have been a better choice.
Right? You'd actually see a Batman as opposed to some kid. So.
All right, what's next?
Oscar Herrera writes, what do you think will be the percentage drop between week 1 and week 2 for Star Wars The Force Awakens?
I think it's going to be bigger than you think. I think it's going to be a bigger simply because of how successful it's going to be. See, you hear me say at first it's going to be a bigger drop than you think. You think you're saying it's going to fail. No, it's going to be a big drop because it's going to be so successful. Everybody and their sister's cat are going to go see Star Wars The Force Awakens in week 1. They're all going. And not as many people are as stupid as me who will go and keep spending their money to see a movie 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 times. And so I think you're going to see a significant drop-off. I believe, not like super drop, not like a 70% 50 Shades of Grey kind of drop-off, but I think a industry average of about, I think you're going to see a 50% drop. Right. So there are some people out there who are saying, it's going to be like a 10% drop. I would believe that if I thought not too many people are excited about Star Wars, so a bunch of people are going to go see it. It's going to get good word of mouth and carry over. That's not applicable here. Everybody's going to go see it week 1. So I believe we're looking at a 50% drop-off. Kristian, over or under 50%, the drop-off for Star Wars The Force Awakens?
I think it'll just be a little under 50.
So like in the 45 range or something?
Yeah, close. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if it made, because I'm still holding it about 180 million opening weekend. So if it does something along like the 100 million mark, maybe, so maybe a little more around the second week, I wouldn't be surprised if that hits. But just around that, I think that would be great to be able to hold that. But I think that the third week is going to have a less drop.
I agree. Yeah. I agree with you.
I don't see it dropping 50. I mean, everyone I know didn't get tickets.
That's a good point.
I'm talking about everyone I know. Yeah. Everyone, aside from us when Dennis was on, I just barely got tickets. I barely got them because I was like, what are you guys all doing? Dennis was like, we're online getting tickets. You want some? I was like, yeah, I guess.
See, y'all don't know this. You guys can't see Dennis back there, but all Dennis barely does is like every minute or so he'll look up to see if the show's still running. Other than that, he's got Fallout 4 on one screen and Star Wars The Force Awakens ticket grabbing on the other screen. That's pretty much all he does all day.
I would not have my tickets if it wasn't for Dennis. And I was random, I was eating a sandwich. Yeah, why don't you get me 4 tickets, whatever. Got those tickets and the internet shut down. So I was like lucky, just randomly lucky I got these tickets. Thank you, Dennis. But honestly, everyone else I know is like, damn, I didn't get my tickets. They're seeing it the next week. I predict a 20% drop. Wow. Because I think no one,
20.
All the sweaties got those tickets, and everyone else. And I'm talking the sweaties are like, I got 10 tickets for me and my other sweaty friends. So forget regular people. They're like, how come everything's sold out? They're seeing it the second weekend.
But what do you think it's going to make opening week? You said like
I think it's going to make way over 200 million.
So
wow.
If it's over, so you think it'll make 200 million the second week also?
I don't know about 200 the second week. I'm saying the opening weekend, it's going to make insane amounts, bucket loads of money, unheard of amounts of money. Second week, I think it'll probably break 100 million second week.
Well, that's what I'm saying. But then your drop's close to 50%.
Yeah, I guess my drop is going to be, I'm saying 20%. So let's say 150 just to keep my weird prediction correct. So
I'm going to side with you a little bit here. If I'm still going to hang around the 220, 230 million opening weekend. If you're right, and I think you have a very good chance of being right here, that the opening weekend is like in the 180 range. Let's say it's in the 170 to 185 million range. I'm going to adjust my drop-off percentage. Then I'll say the percentage drop-off will be much less because of everything that you point out, those great points that you raised. So I guess we got to see what the opening weekend number is first before we really decide. All right, let's take 2 more questions.
Okay. Jose Haley writes, can Creed survive as a franchise without Rocky as a character?
That is a
question.
terrific question because...
Wait, spoilers. Why would you guys say Rocky's not in it? I haven't seen Creed yet.
We're not saying anything, but I mean, first of all, Michael B. Jordan is an exceptional acting talent in this business, and he's just getting started. This guy is going to be a superstar on Denzel level for a long time. That being said, the heart of the movie, I believe, was the fact that it was a Rocky passing of the torch kind of movie in a way that Rocky V failed to be. He was really the heart of it, and that's why I think it was the National Board of Review gave Sylvester Stallone the Best Supporting Actor award for the year, and I do believe Stallone's going to get nominated at the Oscars for Best Supporting Actor. Whether he wins or not is another question. But can you carry on without Rocky there? Uphill battle. I don't know, Kristian. What do you think?
It's gonna be. I almost want you to do earmuffs for a second because I don't want the way I'm
cool.
going to answer it.
You guys aren't going to earmuff it. Answer that.
Well, the
question.
way I'm going to answer it is that I think that you can do. I think what they've done, what Ryan Coogler did with the first movie, was he paralleled the first Rocky very much.
Well.
Burgess Meredith.
I think he's going to parallel Creed 2 the same way as Rocky 2, and I think he'll parallel the series the same way.
You mean Rocky 3?
No, Rocky 2. I think Rocky 2 will be for Creed 2, and then as we get longer, you could eventually do it without him. I think that you
eventually
you can, because if you build up Adonis Creed and more characters in the universe, the same way you did in the Rocky universe, you can do it. Right now, you need him. You need him. He's Mickey for him, and you needed Mickey with Rocky, and you needed it for a bit. Now, I also think that Stallone wrote off characters too fast in the original franchise, but whether or not they're going to do that, who knows? But they need to introduce more iconic characters throughout the franchise. But you can do one eventually, but not yet. Not for the sequel. You need Rocky back for the sequel.
Totally agree. All right, last question of the day.
All right. Tyler Jeffrey writes, which original movie of 2016 are you most excited for?
Well, I don't want to go into that too much because we have a special editorial we've got coming up here before the end of the year of our most anticipated films of the year. So I'm not going to say. I'm not going to answer that question. Yeah, so there you go. That'll do it for us, guys, for this installment of Collider Movie Talk. Thank you so much for joining. Listen, don't forget, lots of great films are playing at our friends over at AMC Theatres. Head on over to www.amctheatres.com for all of your theater, showtime, and, of course, your movie ticket information. And don't forget to click on the subscribe button. Become a subscriber to our YouTube channel, keeping you up to date on everything going on in the world of film. Support our channel and Dennis's Fallout 4 addiction. I want to thank the people sitting at the table with me. First of all, sitting over here on my left, Mr. John Schnepp. Schnepp, where can people find you online?
You guys can follow me on Twitter and Instagram, just at John Schnepp. You can find my film, The Death of Superman Lives, What Happened, by going to www.tdoslwh.com. Get a digital download, buy one for one of your friends for Christmas, and support independent film. I just finished my music video for this band Pilgrim. It's called Paladin. It's going to be on YouTube later this week. I'll let you know exactly where and when.
Sitting over here on my right, Mr. Kristian Harloff. Kristian, where can people find you?
At Kristian Harloff on both Twitter and Instagram. And then we're going to be at the premiere of Star Wars on Monday. And if you want to follow on Periscope, we're going to be doing a lot of periscoping from the red carpet.
I think we might be live streaming on YouTube from the red carpet.
All that stuff.
Yeah.
So make sure, if you're not subscribed here, obviously do that. And then follow us on Periscope, because I'm going to be doing a lot of that. Come on.
And you might have noticed that our two regular hosts, both Ashimova and Natasha Martinez, they're not in the building today. They will both be back. And thank you so much to our host today, Wendy Lee, for filling in as host. Wendy, where can people find you?
Thanks for having me. And you can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Wendy Lee Zaney.
And, of course, you can follow me on Facebook or on Twitter simply at John Campea. That'll do it for us, guys. Thanks so much for joining us for Collider Video. Until next time, bye-bye.
Hey, guys, if you like this video, click the thumbs up button. Also, make sure you subscribe to our YouTube